If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the Disconnected. I am joined by Jose Prentice, Master Chaos, as most people watching this know him as, and a few other names you might recognize. We got Doug Bradley in the house, Harry Manfredini, Victor Maragna, and Emma. How do you say your last name, Emma?
Reinagel.
Reinagel. Hey, that's what it looks like. Thank you for joining us. This is cast and crew of The Exorcists, the brand new film from the Asylum. Jose, Doug, Harry, Emma, Victor, thank you for joining me tonight.
You're welcome. Pleasure. Good evening.
I was gonna say thank you so much for having us, man. You and I talk off air all the time. It's been a while since I've been on Disconnected, so I'm glad to be here in my Bruce Wayne mode to talk about the movie, man. Thanks so much for making time.
Well, I've been busy doing my own stuff, and you've been busy directing frickin' Doug Bradley, so I get it.
Yeah, frickin' Doug Bradley.
Actually, I saw Doug the last time I saw Jose, because Doug was also there at Monsterpalooza last year in Pasadena.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
You were at Monsterpalooza, Jose?
I was, but I was stuck in line getting autographs from the Screamcast, so I didn't really, I didn't really do much except get to meet Nev Campbell. That was my whole Saturday, basically.
Well, thanks for doing this. The Exorcist has, been making the rounds with a lot of people watching it. I got to go with Jose first. The Asylum. What made you want to work with the Asylum on this?
Well, it was, first I'm aware that the Asylum has a stigma attached to the name, and it's just, it's one of those things. And, a filmmaker is a filmmaker, and a filmmaker film makes wherever he can. And it's very difficult to get that opportunity. The Asylum and I go way back. They distributed my second movie. And when I moved out here, they were the only studio to give me a job, and I'm very grateful to them. They've been very good to me to at least let me do my thing as much as they allow me to do. And I've been gone for a bit from them, and I've only recently returned last year with the Headless Horseman, which I had a lot of fun with. And then this project sort of dropped in my laps, serendipitously, because I've been wanting to make an Exorcist movie, since I've seen The Exorcist.
Right.
Phenomenal movie. Obviously, everyone loves it. It's a great movie, and we're not going to get into how great that is. But obviously, it left an impact on a lot of people, and I've always wanted to tackle that subject matter. I always want to make a vampire movie. Always want to make a Dracula, a werewolf movie. I always want to make a demon possession movie. So this opportunity presented itself, and I mean, it's something I just kind of went after. Very vocally and bothered the producers quite a bit to let me do. And that's sort of how this all ended up. Did I know that it was going to be as difficult as it was, and that I had to shoot this movie in 6 days? No, I was not aware of that fact, but we made it work.
And now you're competing with an Exorcist sequel at the same time.
We are, which is kind of what convinced them to make the movie.
Oh, kicking its ass, I think.
I didn't know that.
I have heard from more than one person today that The Exorcist Believer is the worst film of all time. I've never heard that about The Exorcist, so congratulations.
Hey, good.
Making a grand entrance, Denice Duff is here. Hello, Denice.
Oh, good Lord. How are you?
I hate being tardy.
Are you
I'm not driving. My driver is driving.
Thank God. I'll tell you what, she's driving, and I'm in the same time.
All right, Denise, I'll pull you back in just a minute when you get home.
Okay.
Let's go with you, Doug, because you play Father Patrick Ryland in this, and we were talking a little bit before we went into the recording here about the idea of supernatural horror and religious horror. What drew you into this role altogether?
Work, and the script. Basically, the offer comes my way, and it's always the same starting point for me. Let me see the script. And I was impressed by the script straight away. I've never been in. That's not true, actually. I'm lying. I did a movie called Exorcismus in Barcelona, which I played an exorcising priest. So I shouldn't say I've never done it before, but not like this, not on this scale. I just liked the script, and I liked Patrick straight away. So I said yes. It's that simple, really, and that really is it. I mean, in terms of what we were talking about earlier, I know Jose and I have had discussions about this, and he gave me a book to read on the subject, trying to persuade me that demonic possession and all of this is real. And I read it, and because it's supposedly written by a psychiatrist, and I assume that the presence of Dr. Beckett in the movie is heavily influenced by the book, a psychiatrist who was heavily a skeptic about the whole thing, who became a believer. But as I told Jose, it seemed to me that this skeptic was very, very ready to believe right from the get-go. And one of the things that most impressed me in the book was that he's a clinical psychologist, and he almost as an aside in the book, he says that he has never prescribed any one of his patients as being demonically possessed. He's always dealt with it on a psychological level. And it seems to me that the only people who ever become possessed or who believe in possession are people who are already poisoned by the Catholic Church. I come at this as an atheist, and I believe that I don't believe in. It follows that if I don't believe in God in strict theological terms, I don't believe in the devil. If I don't believe in the devil, I don't believe in demons, and I don't believe in demonic possession. I think it's all us. You know, whales don't get demonically possessed, nor did the dinosaurs, as far as we're aware. It's a problem that we have. And therefore, it seems to me very abundantly clear that it's a human problem, not a supernatural problem. I love supernatural horror. I'm very open to ideas of the supernatural. I was not really very impressed by The Exorcist way back when I saw it in the cinema in the early 1970s. I'm afraid I thought projectile pea soup and spinning heads were rather amusing, more than anything else. But having said all that, you throw all that aside and you deal with the script. And, it's not often that I'm going to get the chance to be throwing the crucifixes and the holy water around and telling people that the power of Christ compels them. And I was channeling my grandfather, who was a Scottish Baptist minister of fundamentalist Calvinist persuasions, a religious bigot of the first order who did not like Catholics at all, it has to be said. But that, and also my for me, the king of horror actors, who is Peter Cushing. He is my God, and that purity of intention that he always channeled. For instance, when he was playing Van Helsing, and I know Jose has said that he approached this movie rather as though it were a Dracula movie, and I approached this movie rather as if I were playing Van Helsing, or should I say, one of several Van Helsings.
Right.
So that's kind of the complicated psychological journey into the world of exorcism that I come to the movie with.
I love that. Denice has made it home. Welcome, Denice.
Hey,
Hi, guys. We're such a family here, as you found out that you're all going to brush your teeth with me next,
no.
or your fangs, as it were.
Right.
Well, I'll go ahead, Jose.
Something that just to piggyback of what Doug was saying, one of our first meetings was kind of like this. It was kind of a Zoom, just, hey, thanks for joining the movie. This is sort of what I'm thinking, because he's in a different part. He's not in LA, so it was one of those things where I just wanted to get on camera and talk to him, so we're all on the same page. And he brought this up. I'm an atheist. I don't know if it's going to be believable. And I said, well, the people in Star Wars have never been to space, so just pretend.
To the best of my knowledge, Cenobites don't exist, so
Exactly.
It's all part of a piece.
Emma and Victor and Denice, I'm curious, the pressure of doing this in 6 days. How especially like Victor, there's so much to chew on there. How does approaching that in a 6-day time span make this so much more difficult?
Yeah, I had no idea it was going to be 6 days as well. I mean, when I first auditioned, I would have never expected that it was going to be such a fast process. And the thing is that I remember I got the script probably 7 days before we started, our first day. So I started reading it like crazy, and just knowing that I would have to be ready, because it's not easy to act, to imagine, these super different stakes, I guess, that I normally have in my life, and to make it, as credible as possible. So yeah, once we were there, what I loved about the group and the ensemble, and I think this is all thanks to Jose, is that it felt there was a lot of chemistry between all of us, all of the actors from day one, and that helped me a lot, because I knew I felt that I was going to be able to play along, that I was working with amazing actors that were listening, that were reacting to whatever I gave them. So yeah, of course it was super, the pressure was high, especially because we had, as any, I guess, Exorcists movie in a graveyard, we have to do it at night because it's just super cool, right? You cannot do it in daylight. So obviously it was during the night most of the day. So it was really, really challenging. But again, once we started, and once Jose, just the smooth way that he directs all of his actors, and the way he created the ensemble made my life, at least, very easy, and it was pretty pleasurable, or at least I found a lot of pleasure working along everyone in that difficult situation.
I'm intrigued, Victor, that you say you didn't know it was a 6-day shoot. I'm pretty certain that even when I arrived in LA, I knew how many days I was working on the movie.
Right.
But I didn't know that day one was day one, and
exactly.
day 6 was day 6.
I
suddenly became aware, oh shit, this is everybody's.
You're like, I have 6 days on the film.
Yeah.
I wonder what the other people have.
I assumed you'd all already been filming for like 2 weeks before I arrived.
That's a lot of pickups. Denice, does that ring true for you as well, that Jose really held all this together? Because I just love to know behind the scenes. He's not holding you hostage anymore. How do you feel about Jose, a friend of mine?
Go.
Oh God, I just text him love letters. I wish I could just be funny about that, but I love him like a brother and a son. And I don't know if he told you, I was in the very first film that he did when he was fresh out of school, and I mean, he made quite a fun little frolicking film. And what was that? A weekend?
Monster Man. No, that was actually my longest shoot ever, my first movie. But then I controlled all of that.
Okay,
but you were there for like 4 days, I think.
Okay. I did Subspecies 4 in, I think, 13 days. And that was a film camera where they have to stop, check the gate, pull the film out, look at it.
Yeah.
And, it's
Focus pullers.
right. All that good time consuming stuff. And, right off the bat, you told me, Jose told me it was a 6-day shoot. And I didn't think, oh, this is going to be a piece of shit. I was like, oh, I'd love to spend more time with him. Like, right. That was really my main thing. And, but it's crazy I just know his speed of particle flow. And I had seen some of his other work, and, the sets were all very concise. He made such good use of every location. If we were having lunch in that location, an hour later, we were, throwing down Bible verses in it. And then after that was where we were, maybe napping. And then things just got used and we didn't take off, which also kept us closer as a team. A lot of time is wasted in filmmaking. Do you agree, Jose?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm not like, I want him to have 2 months to do his next film, or even a glorious 8 days. But it is amazing how efficient you can be when your actors know their lines and your director has really scheduled it out according to that amount of time. Granted, there were takes where I did get a little nervous. There was a scene in the chapel where there were several of us, and there was a bit of confusion between the cameramen and the camera angles, and the producer stepped on set and we did one take, and it clearly needed several more, and we couldn't do it. And I was like, wow, I'm in the dark the entire time. And yet it wasn't the case. Like, when we saw it somehow he managed to get in one take and place the cameras in very efficient places where, if you don't have the luxury of something tighter, you still can tell the story.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of these smaller sets. That's when you get the good directors that gets the jobs. They get to come back because they are efficient. So that makes perfect sense. We just talked about locations. Emma, what can you tell us about the sets, the locations? How was it on those sets?
Oh, it was a blast. I mean, filming in the big mausoleum was where we filmed the entire time. I came in only for 3 days, so I didn't get to experience the full wonder of like the bedroom set and walking around in the graveyard in the first scene. But being in this mausoleum at night was absolutely, like, I think most people might have gotten a little spooked. But I think because of, as we're talking about, we even though I was not there for the entire time of shooting, there was just such a camaraderie with the entire cast and crew. Everybody.
You indicate a mere 3 days, which is half the shoot.
Yeah, I know. 50% of the time.
And there's, to not give any spoilers, but there's a few times on the set where I because of things that are in my eyes, I could not see fully, and being left alone, blind in a mausoleum at night. Sometimes everybody was gracious, and people would come up to me and be like, "Okay, I'm gonna walk you over this way now." I was guided around a lot, which was amazing. I just think. Using the use of the set was it makes the vibes of the film what it is, and I think Jose picked every single location perfectly for what needed to be done. And going off of that, in terms of the whole process, yeah, it was in 6 days. But Jose used our prep time perfectly. We actually, the whole Ouija gang, all the teens that show up, we went on a nighttime haunted hike together as a bonding experience, which was so much fun. And it's those sort of things that help bring a cast together before you get onto set, especially when you only have 6 days. Jose really wanted to emphasize that we need to feel like we've been friends, forever. So I think just a thoughtful, caring director really thinks about those things ahead of time. And even if you only have this amount of time to shoot, you're still able to prep properly and connect with these people beforehand. And I think that's what made it really special. Especially we had multiple reads, and it all came together wonderfully.
Oh my God, Jose, you need to do a horror film called Only 6 Days.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we say that phrase so much on every podcast, like it's
Yeah.
right, or call your behind the scenes that.
I want to know, Jose, why you didn't take us priests to a Requiem Mass.
Well, you arrived the day before shooting, so I didn't.
And we only had 6 days.
Yeah, I only had enough time to take Pinhead to get pizza, and that was pretty much it.
Very quiet off to the side for a moment. I have to say, it is an immense honor to have you here. You are a childhood legend of mine. For years, I was desperate to be a composer and a band teacher, and to have you here is a fulfillment of many things that I never thought could happen. One of the biggest things that I've always wondered for somebody like you that's been in the industry for so long, we all have watched technology change so much from composing in 1978 to composing in 2023. What has changed for your process? Is it something that is immensely different, or are you just still that same inspired little boy, basically going out and trying to change the world with his music?
Well, they changed A flat. Now we don't use A flat anymore.
I heard the rumors that was coming. Okay, that's good to know.
It was going. It's faded away.
Got it.
What's changed is that I've changed with it.
Right.
And so that's how you survive. And the thing is that I'm somewhat of a geek in terms of like gear, and no matter, it seemed as though whatever movie I would do, I picked up a new piece of gear and I went, oh wow, I can do this. And then then 6 months later is another movie and I can do this, or I can do that. So I've always tried to stay ahead of that part of the technology. I fought it for a long time. I literally used to sit and write every note out on score paper and all of that, and calculator, figuring out where the timings were, and the hits, and all that stuff. It's just it's like you were talking about the 10-minute reels of film. I mean, I always go to editors. I said, "Have you ever touched a piece of film in your life?" No, we just do it this way. I mean, I'm back in the days of moviolas and flatbeds. I think it was Thomas Edison who once said to me, "Oh no, just kidding." What I really want to say is this: just like Doug. First of all, I met Jose on the previous movie, and I'm just so impressed with this guy. I told his wife, I said, if we could buy stock in somebody, I'd buy stock. Well, wait, which way? On my camera, he's that way, but it's over there. I would buy stock in this guy because, and then just like Doug, I read the script and I went, this is really good. It's a really good script. It's Exorcist, but it's a heroic story. Doug is the hero. this is what this is about. The other stuff is there, but this guy has a want and a need. He wants to redeem himself from the loss of Corey, and he needs to figure out a way of doing it. And once in the script where he goes, it's a trap, and they figured it out. And so the acting in this movie, I have no idea how the hell he did this in 6 days. The acting is on such a level in every character. Every single character had, you'll excuse the term, every single character had a character. There was an arc. There was, they all evolved, and it's so easy to, just put up cardboard people. There were no cardboard people. And then he saved me on this picture because just like he had 6 days, I can't imagine what he would do if he had 12. He'd probably take 4 days off, The last movie we did, I did the score in 8 days. I mean, I'm fast, but this is crazy. So we get this movie, and he goes, there's like 5 days. And I'm going, you want me to write 75 minutes of music in 5 days? Do you have any idea how much 75 minutes of music is? It doesn't even matter what it is. Just 75 minutes of one note, is
right.
So anyway, he bought me a few more days. I think it was 12 days total for the whole thing.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, something like 12 days. And it just, it never stopped. The one thing I liked, of course, the dialogue never stopped either. So basically, I'm like wandering around between the dialogue, picking my spots.
Yeah.
With Doug, with all the characters, and trying to come up with something. There was a cool thing. I broke a fingernail writing that scene where you stop the girl. The doctor, you stop her, you kill the girl with her neck, and she falls down, and then you go after her. Yeah. There was a thing like that, and I almost broke a fingernail. It was just whacking on the beef. But everybody had something. Doug was a French horn. He was the hero. The little boy was the sort of violin that was so the sadness of the violin.
Hey.
And then one of the great
again now just to listen to you, Harry. This is wonderful.
Well, anyway, that's and one of the great things that Jose came up with. He sent me something. He goes, "I love this cello," and basically it's samples of someone basically abusing a cello, not necessarily playing it, but like scratching it, funny things. I said, "Oh yeah, I've got those samples," and so I put that into the movie too. But for the most part, a lot of the film is very atmospheric and sort of aleatoric. Yeah. I'm not really in a key very often, so. You write 75 minutes in 12 days.
I was going to say, you had 12 days. There's no keys in 12 days.
Yeah, disregard keys. Anyway,
and now A flat's gone, so what are you going to do?
I'll tell you how much is really is
sharp.
Yeah, got rid of that damn A flat. All G sharps from now on. So anyway, I don't know. Whatever I can tell you, I will.
Amazing.
The main thing I want to bring up, Jose, if that's okay, that's a big problem here. Everybody's upset about Nepo babies, and yet you still cast your children. What are you doing?
It's funny. My children were up for major roles, and I'm. I'm making movies with kids in them, and I have kids.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them a shot. But the producers turned me down. Yeah, exactly. The producers went in a different direction, but I had to put them in the movie somewhere. So So they got the amazing credit of chess boy and chess girl, but they're in the movie. At least they got to laugh and giggle at themselves on the big screen, and I mean that's unforgettable. You never forget that. That's an incredible experience to have them on set, and
second Moose costume. Remember
that Moose costume?
No, I think that was in a Monty Python movie.
Oh, okay.
I was the talking pizza in House 2, so.
Wait, were you really?
Yeah, I was the talking pizza.
Holy shit, that's awesome! Wait, is it? No, House 4 has a talking pizza.
Well, that's what it is. No, it's House 4. See, I only do movies with numbers in them, so I can't.
That makes sense.
Gotcha.
Yes.
There you go.
Oh my God, Jose, you knew that it was House 4.
Yeah, we all start to gather that. I think your resume starts to read like the sports results.
And the Padres, who aren't too shabby this year.
Hey, there you go. I know shit about sports. I had one of the producers were like, "Oh, these teams are in different states." I'm like, "Oh, fuck, I don't know. I guess I should research this."
That's the other thing about this film. What he does with the camera, that's why it blows my mind how he does it in 6 days. Like, there was such a great scene, with you two at the gravesite talking, and you're trying to egg him into this job, and he doesn't want to do it, and all that. But there's that shot from the gravestone that comes up, and I said, that's the little boy watching this conversation, isn't it? He goes, yeah. And I went, violin comes in, and if you listen, it's the violin just sort of listening to their conversation, not paying attention, not scoring it, but just existing there.
Right.
But that's what I mean. This guy doesn't. He's so damn good. It just drives me crazy.
Well, thank you, Harry. I mean, I don't do it alone. Obviously, my DP Mark David is amazing, and he kind of came in last minute. Now, this is the guy who's used to making $7 million, $10 million movies, and then I tell him, we're on a desperate scramble for a DP. My normal guy wasn't available. And I got in touch with Mark, and Mark is, again, he liked the script. I wish he was on here, man. I'm going to reach out to see if we can do some of these. But he liked the script, and he was willing to play. And he's like, he knew the Asylum. They had put out one of his movies in the past, and it was just one of those things where, look, we all love making movies, and we all want to make as good a movie as we possibly can, no matter how many days we have, and however much money we have is. We have to put in the effort, or else there's no reason to do any of this. And when I met with the cast, Victor and Emma, they came through audition tapes and that whole process. And when we had that first read through, is the one thing I wanted to impress upon them is if you don't give a shit, we're gonna tell. The audience is gonna know because you are the movie. So I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure you guys are ready and you guys look good. But the movie is you, and you have to be ready. And there was a lot of dialogue. And a lot on these movies, sometimes the actors don't remember their lines. That's a big issue. But I didn't really have that problem here. There were times when it got late and we maybe needed a little prompting. But I mean, for the most part, everybody nailed their dialogue. And we didn't have a script supervisor, which is something that most regular movies have. And we just had to be our own script supervisor.
I'm so glad you said that, because in another podcast, someone said, "Oh, well, that was thanks to the script supervisor," and I was like, "I didn't."
It was a joke.
Yeah, and I thought, gosh, because I pride myself in knowing the crew and getting bonded with them, and I'm like, wow. And the script supervisor, you always remember him or her. Okay.
It was kind of my running joke with Jose as well, the phantom script supervisor. I don't know. I do not know how you begin to contemplate making a movie, especially trying to do a movie in 6 damn days without a script supervisor.
Yeah.
We don't need those stinking script supervisors.
Well, apparently we didn't.
We did not.
We did not. No.
And
I mean, it helps. It helps that I wrote it, and so I knew what was sort of happening. You know, if it was somebody else's script, I think I probably would have had trouble with it. But you know,
no, but you can't know the stuff like, you know, when we shot the lead into this scene. Was my bag in my left hand or my right hand?
Oh, right.
I have my jacket,
jacket
on, a jacket off, and all
was
those
things. Was he on my right side when he walked in? Was he on the left side?
Nobody. And actors will always remember it.
Acting and actors know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Jose will tell you, I'm one of these.
No, we don't.
I'm one of these people who looks at a movie and I can't see the forest for the leaves. I go like, oh, wait a minute, that wasn't. That wasn't. But like the first movie, remember the first movie? I'm going like, I can't believe, how did you get this coverage? How did you get this coverage that matches? That's what ticking me off.
Harry, what made you say yes to Jose on his first film when he reached out to you?
I love
all the money.
We met, we had lunch, we talked, and I fell in love with him right there. And when I read that script, and I said, "This is really cool," it was. I just fell in love with him. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm doing every picture he does.
Oh, I love that.
No, I want to pick up the point Harry made about the dialogue. I've said this before, but each of these interviews is the first time, and it seems to me to be almost a counterintuitive direction for Jose to go in, knowing that he's only got six days and a very limited budget. It's almost like, there would be a way of writing this script that is. This happens, that happens, this happens, that happens, and get from point A to point B to point C to point D, and he goes in the other direction. The scene that Harry mentioned with Victor and I in the cemetery, I said to Jose, this is a functional scene. It's there for no other reason than to establish that Father Island has retired after losing Corey, and Father Cortez is going to persuade him to come back. You can get through that very quickly. Jose wrote this scene over like 3 pages, and it's written really well. It's written with a lot of human interest.
Yes.
A lot that makes the world of exorcism seem human. Right from the get-go of the film, establishes that exorcists are not just, functional priests with crucifixes and holy water and the power of Christ compels you. They're human beings, and they're humanly involved and humanly engaged in the job that they do. And he has no need to write that kind of extent of dialogue, but he does that for all the characters throughout the film, and what it does is 2 things. It establishes all the characters. Everybody has their moment in the sun. It's absolutely an ensemble piece, and that amount of dialogue lets the narrative breathe.
Yeah,
it lets the story tell itself. And if you shut down the dialogue, the story dies.
You should do more of this. You really are very good at it. The way you and Victor played off of each other. There was both the human. I mean, that's the great word you used. The humanness of the 2 of them, and yet the way you came together to understand each other. He brings up. John, I don't know who John was. The priest who's passed away.
Yes,
it just pulled you together. So, and then for you music buffs, I'm sure, Doug, you're going to run back. But if you listen really close, I ripped off a little bit of Edward Elgar's Enigma variations.
Okay,
right. As the 2 of you are walking along, just between the words, I just little bit of Edward Elgar in there.
Which variation should I be listening for? Is it Nimrod? Which variation is it? Nimrod?
It'll come. Tunes going out of my head, but it's Edward Elgar. Puck, is it Puck? Is that what it's called?
I have no idea.
Can't remember, but I will. I am going to go back and watch the movie again just for you.
It's only there for those musicologists who went to school.
That's fantastic. That's amazing. That's fantastic
for everyone.
Well, this humanness really obviously comes through the characters and the dialogue, but from the people I've spoken to, that really starts before the camera's even turned on, and it's about building the chemistry and this realistic interaction between everybody. So maybe an odd question, Emma, how were you made to feel valued as part of the film and on set?
Oh my gosh. I am relatively new to Los Angeles. This was actually my first feature out in Los Angeles. So coming onto set, I was the first one of the Ouija gang to arrive to set on just one of the nights. I came in like 8 hours into the day. And as soon as I got there, I was greeted warmly by everyone. It seemed like everyone was excited to see me and be around me, which is not, even part of necessarily the filmmaking process. It's just part of everyone who was there being a fantastic person, which is really how you are able to make a film like this, is everybody being good, because it just, kind. And yeah, no, we would all have our lunches together wherever they ended up being in the mausoleum. And I was just so grateful to have this be my first, bigger set experience out in Los Angeles. And it was just grateful of the warmth and the, everyone was, I was ready to go. But there was no expectation of me being anything more than I have to offer. So it was really great working with everyone. And yeah.
Well said. Maybe next time you'll get 12 days.
Maybe. I'm working on 8, but I real briefly, just to speak about Emma and Victor, I'm very judgmental when it comes to actors, and when I'm given, I don't know if I should reveal this, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm a very honest person. So when I get audition tapes, I'm like that sitting. What do you got? Give me what you got. I'm very picky, because I know what I'm looking for. After when you write something, you picture somebody in your head, and you're looking for a specific feeling. That's not necessarily a person, but you're looking for that feeling to come through, that human being. And Victor's audition and Emma's instantly, like, oh shit! And I sat back, and I'm not gonna say that it was kismet or the universe or a muse whispering in my ear, that's the one, but it felt that way. And and with all the cast that came in through the audition process, Kayla and Gabe and who can't be with us today. They're alive. They just can't be with us today. I'm very picky, but I'm looking for the people who can give me an audition that feels like a human being talking, and not somebody reading a script. And well, first of all, Victor was really the only Latino to audition, which I thought was strange, and so that helped. That was in your favor. Yeah, that was like,
believe that.
I was shocked. I was shocked. You were the only one that had a genuine accent. There was one guy who was like, "Oh, he's interesting, but there's something off about him." And then I went to his resume. Oh, he's French. That's what's weird about it.
He was called Father Raul Cortez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the purposes of the auditions, right?
Yeah. And people come in like,
very
Like
French.
a guy who like
Raul
Fabio hair. Yeah, exactly. So like, well, Victor already had the look and he had the voice, so that won me over. But his performance was very genuine. And Emma comes in and she has such a, you're a very beautiful girl, and you give off just a very, I mean, you were the character without giving too much away. You're sort of this innocent, fresh-faced kind of lamb fur. I don't want to go down that road, but anyway, you were basically perfect, and your audition was so genuine. Again, genuine is my favorite word, so I'm always looking for if I can believe the person, that they've already won me over. Just like Kayla, who plays Dr. Beckett, her audition was the only one that felt like she was actually being a human being and not a doctor reading a list of diseases. So yeah, Victor and Emma won me over instantly, and it's my favorite part of making a movie is working with the actors, and everybody on this movie was just incredible. And the fact that, I mean, Ryan, I'm a big movie nerd, so I whenever I get a chance to make a movie, I'm gonna fill it with as many fucking cool people as I can. The fact that the Asylum allowed me to do that, and we got Michelle Bauer to do the voice of our demon. I mean, we got Kate Hodge, who can't be with us tonight, but the incredible Kate Hodge, who's just phenomenal. I'm very lucky to have gotten these people in it, but then to have discovered people like Victor and Emma, who one day when they're getting their Oscars, hopefully will remember a little movie called The Exorcists.
We got to find a better way for you to say they can't be with us tonight. But perhaps they're busy.
Yeah,
something like that.
I'll work on it.
I'll think the heavens.
I'll think of something.
Why is it that none of us are in rooms that change color as we speak?
We're not film directors of horror films.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I spent 6 days lighting this.
Wait a second.
Uh-oh.
Disco at Harry's now.
Hey, there you go.
Turn on my leg.
It's a leg lamp.
Now we're better.
Victor, after hearing how picky Jose
Is that that's a Christmas Story lamp?
Yes,
It's a fragile lamp.
Yes,
It's fragile.
It is. Yes.
Must be Italian.
Oh yeah.
Fragile.
Fragile.
Victor, after hearing how picky Jose is, when you submitted the audition, did you feel like you nailed it, or were you super worried?
Absolutely nailed it from the beginning. No, I mean, you know what happened? I obviously connected with the character because, I have to say, what I liked about the scenes, and going back to what Dog was talking about how the humanity was poured into all the characters, is that it wasn't a stereotype, of the Latino priest. And later on, knowing Jose, that he himself is also Latino, I was like, okay, that makes then total sense, because he, for sure, some part of him is reflected in this priest as well. And it was what I always say is, as an actor, when you have a good text and a good dialogue, a good writer, you can act so well. It's so easy to act when you have a good script, someone that actually understands what's happening in the train of thought of someone. So that made my life much easier. And something that, as Jose said, I always like to approach everything, all the characters, not just from I'm this exorcist with a monologue that I have to, which is funny, parenthesis, I auditioned with one of Father Patrick's monologue for the movie. Oh. Yeah. And I thought it was part of my my dialogues, but then I got to set, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Jose, but probably you picked that to see how, because that's a complex text that you chose, and to see how well, I mean, if you can do that, I guess you said they can do anything else in the piece, or how did that happen?
Well, the casting director was like, okay, so the people auditioning are going to need sides. Do you want me to pull them, or do you want to do them? I go, no, I'm going to do them, because I know what I want to hear them say. And so I did sort of cherry pick lines of dialogue from other people, just to see what the auditioning person would deliver. Like for Emma and the Ouija gang, it sort of was interchangeable with the girls and Hunter's character, who plays Nathan. I wanted to make sure that we got everybody's vibe states of duress and then states of calm, and I just wanted to see both iterations. But I made sure that everybody's sides, delivered what I wanted to see from the performance.
Oh wow! So yeah, just to complete the thought, that monologue that I did was one of the Exorcist texts when I am actually exorcising this girl, and it's a tough one because the way I saw it was this guy, this priest, you have to see that he cares for her as Olivia, as Patrick, and even though I'm just doing an exorcism, I want to show something more, this is what it was. I wasn't thinking about exorcising a demon when I was doing the audition. I was thinking about helping a child. Yeah.
But you see, that was set up so beautifully. You set it up in the first scene with Father Patrick. You came to him because you were really concerned about the girl.
All right.
And you see, you were all set up. It was perfect. And when you did do what you just said you did, it really was just the extension of the way your character was, that you cared deeply.
Right.
Wow. Spoilers.
It's not live. We can edit that.
Oh no, that didn't happen. That was
in a manner of speaking.
Wait a minute. That was right after
metaphorically speaking.
Right after the tap dance number.
Give up your sandwich.
Speaking of Harry, how did you compose that tap dance number? That's pretty amazing. All right, you got me there.
I'm sorry, I screwed up.
Oh gosh, no.
We'll make it funny, I promise.
I'll be right back.
Denice, since you're focus point right now, I'm very curious. You're attached to Jose. That's great. A lot of us are. What?
An umbilical cord. It's there.
So Harry, you keep that on all night now.
Oh my god.
You're attached to Jose. What is a role that you think you'd love to play for him in a future film?
God, I'd love to. Dude, that's such a good question. I think maybe someone normal. Maybe someone.
Perish the thought.
Boring.
Just like middle-aged mother of 3 or something. Sure.
Yeah.
I just thought,
on the school run.
What the opposite,
Running a little cupcake store in town. And
Yeah.
But there's still going to be slashing and blood and, like totally sweet. And although, see, I can't even speak. I can't even relate anything. I can't even. Oh.
No. But you are, without giving anything away, you kind of are doing that in this movie, right?
Yes. It would be. Yes.
Yes.
And I'd like to play a character in control of her consistently good-heartedness. Has that?
I like that.
Because
okay.
he is like he's just so good, and someone to be in this industry, you can get a little bit. Your morals can get degraded. Your own viewpoint about yourself can change. What's important can change. Your confidence, your spirit of play, your faithfulness to your friends and your family, and he is just not wavered from any of that. Like he has your back. And if you're a friend of Jose's, I just feel like he'll always have your back. And watching him as, when he got married and when he had kids, and he just lives on all dynamics of his life. You know, you don't have to be a tortured artist, filmmaker to make great art, right? You don't have to, well, I can't have a family and I can't have friends and, you know, to stay up late, I've got to drink and do drugs. Like, he doesn't need to do any of that. And he can still, what do? You bring the kids on the set. You know, they're around when they can be there. They go home with mama when they don't need to be there. And I so admire just how you've, I'd like to play Jose, the young Jose. I'd like to play Jose's mother.
Jose, the biopic.
Yes. I'm that fucking proud of him that I want to play his mother.
Oh,
well, you said you wanted to play somebody normal. I don't know.
I think we should all play different aspects of Jose.
Of Jose.
We could
the egos.
call it the
I want to be the
Jose's.
What do we call it?
The Jose's.
The
Like
Jose.
the Exorcist.
6 days. The 6 days of the Jose.
6 days of Jose Prendes.
Oh, my Lord.
And we'll each play Jose for a day.
There happens to be 6 people here. That's perfect.
Right.
There you go.
And Harry can dress up as a talking pizza.
There you go.
Jose, where's your mom from, Jose?
From Cuba.
Okay, then you gotta start practicing your Cuban.
My little Cubana.
Yeah.
My little Cubana.
Well, it's a good time to bring up the kids again. I joked last time I asked you a question, Jose, but that scene obviously means a lot. I've watched your kids grow up as we've known each other over the years. I met them last year in person. I've got 2 kids of my own that are 7 and 8. And watching that scene, the big thing that stood out to me is both of my kids are special needs. And you put in a little bit of deaf recognition there. And that's not something you had to do. Why is that in the film?
I'm glad you brought that up. Whenever, like, I always like to add little elements to a scene or even to a movie that aren't necessarily supposed to be there. As a matter of fact, a producer even said, "Take that out. That we don't need that. No one needs to. That's pointless." And I go, "Well, that's the point. It's not supposed to be there. It's not about exorcism. This little moment gives us something about Olivia that's not, oh, she's a doctor. Oh, she knows scientific words and mumbo jumbo. She's a human being, and she's just talking to kids who are deaf." And so I had to fight for that. And Kayla went and she did the research, and hopefully we nailed it. But it was one of those, again, we were rushed for time, and we did what we could. But that little moment, I think, was not necessarily saying, hey, look, we're better than somebody else for including it. It wasn't like a woke thing or whatever. It was literally just, this is a character moment. This is to show people watching. I'm glad you picked up on it, Ryan. That you wouldn't expect in a movie like this. You wouldn't see that in a movie like this, because to them it's just plot, plot, plot. Go, 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 go. Get here. Open that. Shoot the laser. Da, 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 da. And it was just a quiet moment where we just get literally 2 lines where she's doing this thing, and it's just another side of this character, and hopefully other people pick up on it. And it's right at the beginning of the movie, just like, hey, this is going to be something different. This is going to be something a little special. Keep your eyes open, because there's a lot of that.
As a good communicator. I mean, my very first date with my husband when I was 21, and I was reading his yearbook at his apartment, and he was 23. And I saw that he had learned sign language. And I'm like, you know sign language? And he's like this rock and roller. He's like, yeah, my instructor really, thinks I could have had a career at it. And my first thought was, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful and sexy, because like someone who doesn't have to know sign language, but who loves communicating so much that they want to speak every language they can. They want to be able to communicate to people in any way. I just thought that was it says a lot about the person, right? They care to communicate, and you have to confront with your face. You've got to look at someone in the eye. It's just very expressive. Somebody who knows sign language, they're just, I think they're a little cut above. And so to me, it made her really that much more of someone who's in communication with the people in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
It was It was a moment that struck me, and here was my take on it, that it's about communication barriers and overcoming communication barriers. That obviously there are communication barriers with deaf people unless you know sign language. And it struck me that the process of exorcism is communication barriers. We lost, unfortunately, the level of Huxley speaking Latin. But I think at the beginning of my first exorcism of her, I think it was edited out. But I begin by saying, I am addressing the thing inside Huxley, and that level of communication of who am I talking to? That I'm not talking to Huxley. I'm talking to the demon inside Huxley, and the way that Huxley moves between, demon and Huxley, English, non-English would have been there, and because it stood out to me as a moment, and I thought, why has Jose done that? That's a very odd thing to do. He's not doing it just to parade his DIE credentials here, I assume. And that was what it struck me as was about this thing of levels of communication.
Well, it does call you Patricio.
Little Patricio, yes.
Yes.
As far as I go.
I guess that's Latin.
Well. So the backstory was the actress who plays Huxley, 18-year-old super genius. She's at Harvard right now. She's has been studying Latin for years, and she could speak it fluently. And we found that out at the table read. And I was like, "Oh my God, are you fucking kidding? This is perfect!" And then the producers shot it down and said no because of subtitling issues. So that was a real what can I say this delicately unfortunate situation. But we pushed forward. Okay. That would have been all over the damn movie if we were able to do that, like actual Latin. Oh my God!
Well, you should have left the Latin in and just not bothered with the translation. I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
Well,
we had some.
I mean, it's like the priests in the room would know the Latin. Nobody else in the room would know the Latin.
Needs to.
Yeah, it was a back and forth conversation that I didn't want to push further than I had already pushed things. So it didn't go. But yeah, Victor, we definitely kept the Spanish in there because I think most people can kind of figure out Spanish things. So it was only like a few phrases anyway.
We had a couple more.
Well, that's a very Los Angeles perception, if I may say so.
Nice.
We don't know a lot of Spanish in Liverpool. You know what I'm saying? We don't speak Spanish.
Incorrect. I'm pretty sure you all do.
Except when we go on holiday to Spain.
Not yet.
And then we learn to say una cerveza and una mas, but that's about it,
Right, there you go.
Well, I kind of wanted to end this on one vague question on obviously we've harped on the 6 days, but on the length of the shoot and the overall budget, because there's this school of thought that doing this in this small scope, but still trying to achieve something that feels so monumental, especially for the six of you afterwards. Do you feel like that's more of an enhancement to what you worked on rather than using a larger budget and say 90 days as a bit of a crutch? Anybody want to face that? Because you've got a wide range of experiences here.
That's a good question. I'll save my answer for last, but I'm curious. I'm curious what Doug and Denice have to say because they've been on bigger productions.
I mean, what is it? There's some analogy of like you'll fill the space if you have the space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Work expands to fill the time allotted.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, you really like were at the minimal amount, and would you have done an even better job? And I don't. Did you have to cut a lot of your script? I don't think so. Right? You didn't.
No, we shot the whole thing. We shot 105 pages.
Yeah, everything made it on. But just for karma purposes, I don't want to say that I don't want to flow in the direction of let's keep that 6-day and $50,000 budget or whatever the budget was.
Well, I guess the real how much better could this have been if it was $1 million movie? Would it have been exceptionally better? I mean, I think the biggest parts that made it a success for all
exceptionally more.
Yeah, that's true.
We'd have had a script supervisor.
We're flattered that you're saying that. It's really lovely to be in a position that you would even say that too.
I think it's hard to know because we don't have the other movie to make a comparison with.
Right.
We did lose one scene. You didn't put everything in the movie, which I can't really talk about without.
It is one wonderful scene.
The opening scene.
But we shot it. We shot it. We just didn't.
You shot it. You didn't put it.
You shot it, but you didn't show it.
Oh no! I cut. They made me cut a lot in editing.
So if we'd had 90 days, that movie would have been in the scene. It undercuts the whole of the movie for me. But but anyway, I think it's hard to tell because the energy of the 6-day shoot is in the movie, and it's evident.
Yeah.
Are there moments in the movie when it looks like a 6-day shoot? I'll be absolutely honest. Yes, I think they're few and far between and they're minimal, but it's there. And with more time, they may not have been, but it may have become a completely different movie.
Right.
I don't know that we would have needed 90 days.
Yeah.
But I think 18 might have been good. And an extra light or 3, and but it's I think it's an unnecessary comparison because it is what it is, and this movie is uniquely what it is, and it wouldn't be what it is if we hadn't all arrived at that point in space and time. I always think it's an extraordinary moment when everybody arrives on day one. Hi. Oh, you're playing. You're. You look vaguely Latino. You must be playing Father Cortez, right? It's all, those, and you. None of us. I didn't know anybody. You don't know whether you're going to like these people. You don't know whether you're going to get on with each other. You don't know whether, although I liked Jose from the interaction I'd have with, I didn't know whether we get down to it, is he going to turn out to be an asshole? You do not know. You all hold your noses together on day one and you jump. And the jumping process in this movie was an absolute delight from start to finish. And I can't imagine it being any other movie than the movie it is. And it is the movie it is because we shot it in 5.5 days.
No, it's
which is crazy. I say that to myself now, and I kind of say to myself in my head, are you fucking kidding? You shot it in what? Because it didn't feel like it. It didn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't look rushed, and it didn't feel rushed. Well, I say that there were moments of you hear Jose say, "Okay, moving on," and you think, "Really? Okay. All right. Moving on.
Yeah. I wish I could give everybody more than 1 to 2 takes. You know, it was one of those things where you're in the shot and you have to direct in the shot. You have to go, no, go back, say it again, say it like this. No, hit that a little harder. Okay, move. Okay, next line. Because, you're so strapped for time. And that's what sucked, is being so strapped for time and having the producers, in one ear saying, you have 2 hours, you have 10 pages, you gotta go, we gotta go. And then I'm over here trying to make this delicate drama, where these people are about to face, a fucking demon. And if they don't, they're going to go through all this stress. I'm trying to get this right, but I'm, fighting the elements. So, I hate 6 days. And I think 10 would have been nice. 12 would have been ideal. Gosh, if I'd had more money, I guess, more lights, better, but the food was good. So, I would have gotten everybody like jackets, crew jackets or something. I don't know, with the extra money.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
That was the way Doug said it is exactly what I was getting at. Is this movie is it's special because of what it is, and it's what it is because of how it was made. And how it was made is by these 6 people being joined by many more people to come together, make something in 5 1/4 days, and we're making the legacy more impressive. You guys did amazing work. Thank you for coming on here tonight and taking the time to record this.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Pleasure, Ryan. Thank you.
Bye,
Good to
guys.
meet all of you.
Okay. Good night. See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Disconnected Podcast. There's one big thing that you could do to help the show, and that is to leave a rating and review on the podcast service of your choice. Thank you.